Greetings and salutations, my fellow Illumineers. It's me, your boy JDZ, and we're back at it again with another rousing episode of the Procast. We took a little bit of breaks. Things were going a bit hectic for the crew, but we found time to come back with episode number 8 of the Procast. Joining me today, as always, from now on and forevermore, will be Thiago. Is going to be in the building holding it down. Also joining us is going to be Edmund Chu, DLC, two-time DLC champion, one-time North American Continental champion, and second at Worlds. And also Rob De Haan is going to be back at it again, double qualified for the North American and European Championship. Gentlemen, starting with you, Thiago, around the horn one more time. How you guys feeling, man? How was your weekend? How have you been in this long and mandatory break?
Yeah, I mean, it's been quite the trek the last several weeks. I was in 4 different continents in 4 weeks, and then I got a week off before coming back. And then I went to Canada last week and just got back home today. So I now have a long break for the next while. I have really only DLC São Paulo before maybe like the Infinity DLC starting in June. So it's going to be a big like adjustment now moving forward because there's just such a long break after such an intense season. So just kind of getting readjusted to kind of normal life, and yeah, excited to talk some Lorcana.
Right on. Ed, how about you? How you been, Ed? You're looking still under the weather a bit since I last seen you at the Glimmer Games.
Yeah, man. Oh, dude, we had me and Thiago had the same schedule. Australia and then Ghent, and I went to play Riftbound for fun, and then Taiwan and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, and the last week I've basically been incapacitated in my bed. Still going to work, but we're hanging in there. Mildly sick, but honestly, we're doing okay. All things considered.
Okay. How about you, Rob? How you feeling, man? You're looking quite dashing. Have you been in the gym? You working out?
Thanks, sir. Well, I wish I was actually. Just got my what do you call this? A PMO, like the medical checkup that work provides you. I could do some more exercise. That's okay though. I've been chilling though. Like after being double qualified, all the pressure is off. I think I started my Brazil preparations like a week ago, just to see if I can get like a third qualification and possibly a fourth in Manila or something. But other than that, I've been chilling.
Okay, right on, gentlemen. Well, again, thank you all for being here. It's been nice to have that little break, but it was still great to see some of you around the world and also following you on social media and different tournaments that you're going to. It's been nice to kind of keep up with the World Class crew. But you spoke about it already, Thiago. This weekend, if you guys don't know, there was a CCQ. It was kind of under the radar. It didn't really have that super public thing. I personally, I missed it. I was taking a little break from Lorcana myself at that time, and I didn't get a chance to tune in too much, but I was able to kind of go back and watch some of that stream and check it out. And shout out to ETB Chris for going out there and winning that event. Thiago, you were there at that event, man. Can you just talk to me about the CCQ, and we just have a discussion, kind of talk about the CCQ in Calgary that went down? Or, excuse me, it was in Montreal. Excuse me.
Montreal, yeah. I mean, it was really cool. I've been to Montreal about a year and a half ago for New Year's, and that was really fun. So being able to go back and this time for Lorcana, be able to see the community there was really, really cool. I did end up finishing in 9th place when it was a top 8 cut, so that was my weekend could have been a little bit better Lorcana-wise, but It was a good time. It was kind of fun in the last round. There was like we were the last match and we're playing for top cut. We are both X1 going into the last round. I wanted to draw. I think my opponent should have also wanted to draw, but he chose to play it out. And then we had the entire venue like crowded around our game as we were like the time was winding down, and then we were playing for the top cut, and then he top decks his one item removal card, and then everybody starts screaming and cheering, and so as he is able to put away game three, and then yeah, it was just like a pretty cool venue. Is like this kind of restaurant gaming bar kind of thing. I think a lot of people had some problem with the prizes. The tournament was 2,000 Canadian dollars prize when they had sold out and made, like more than 3 times that in entries. And then there's some problems over there. I think there was allegedly some leaking internally of the signups, which is why a lot of people were not able to go who wanted to go, because as soon as it became public in a very short amount of time, the tickets were all already sold because, I don't know, 90 spots or whatever had been taken up by the local players who perhaps maybe allegedly, in theory, got the opportunity to sign up early.
Man, you just you laid a lot on the line there, Thiago. You made a lot of accusations. You made a lot of bold claims, and I think that's some of the stuff that I would like to address in as a respectable manner as possible while trying to stay on task and focus. But really quickly about your tournament, what did you play? You got 9th place. I still think that is a nice finish. I know that's not what you want. Obviously, you're there for the qualification and the qualification alone. But what deck you ended up playing? Did you change it from any decks that you've played before? And what would you change if you had to play it again?
Yeah, I mean, I played dogs as I've been doing for most of the set. I played like literally one card off of what I played at the last DLC in Taiwan. I just swapped one Lady 3 out for another Mowgli because I expected a bit of an uptick in green, blue, and amber steel, and the card's like pretty well positioned against both of them. I thought my deck was good. Like I lost to the eventual winner when we were both undefeated really deep into the tournament. When if whoever won that game was able to double ID in, so it was like a win it in, and then I whiff on my Nani, which stopped me from being able to develop an extra character on that turn, which would have let me play my double tramps the next turn through his angel he was going to curve into, which I thought was pretty unfortunate. And then in the final round, when I thought I could ID in, my opponent is able to top deck his single item removal card when he was dead to my Chromacon. So I think like the deck was pretty strong. I think just some kind of unfortunate circumstances. And yeah, I would probably just play the exact same thing or change one other single difference kind of moving forward. I think the deck is in a really, really strong spot. And I think it's really like cemented itself as the boogeyman of the format.
Yeah. Best deck, I think, by a long way. Would you guys agree? I mean, dogs, and now we're kind of in this position in the metagame. I feel as if everyone has kind of ran everything through the ringer of what is playable, what's not playable, what is the best. Everyone has their comfort picks, I would say. But I still firmly believe that dogs is one of, if not the best deck in the format. I don't know if you guys agree with that. We can kind of talk about that a little bit as we're kind of getting into the late stages of this meta. We have another premier event. You guys mentioned that earlier, going to Brazil. That is going to be in this same format. But is that Ed? Are you taking dogs? Like, what do we think about this late stage with Winterspell metagame?
Bro, my brain does. There's no way. I think it's because dogs, dude. Dogs is actually quite hard to pilot. I think. I just don't have the reps, right? I think right now we're still in the meta where, in my opinion, you just play whatever like you're most comfortable with. That's why people like DKP is always playing his blur ball. And I feel like even some of the dog players from this format have been playing the deck for a long time, right? Like Zan has also been playing dogs, the past couple sets, even since probably since the dog deck came out, right? So I think it's still, for me, like it's not the deck for me. Even though I think the recent iterations of the deck kind of click more with me in terms of the control aspect, like taking out some of the Chromacrons and just playing like the under the sea deck. I think to me that's like the most interesting thing about the deck, being able to play it as like the under the sea deck, right? I think of all the decks, it's probably one of the best ones to cast that card just because you can dig so hard for it. And it just has a lot of consistency now, right? With like the Grandma Willow and Nani. I think it's just one of the better decks. If you're a good pilot, is definitely the best deck of the format.
Okay. I don't know, man. I don't know about it. I personally think people are going to be gunning for it now, and it might not be the correct choice. And that's kind of starting to kind of segue us into the bulk of our conversation that I kind of would like to lean this thing towards. Is we have our set championships coming up, and I know a lot of the founders, a lot of the pros that are here are going to be interested in what your guys have to say about that set championship run. Like what decks what decks should you take, and what is the best play or what is the best thing to do going into that set championship run. So first, do you guys even play set championships? Is that something that you guys are interested in? I don't know if you have time for it. I personally will be going to set championships. I have my own little goals. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, Ed, what I'm trying to do at set championships. It's very impossible, but I'm gonna give it a shot. But are you guys even playing set championships at all?
I have
Yeah, for
not
sure.
been able. Go ahead, Rob.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. I generally have a very busy month when there's set championships. Like I want one of the mats for sure. Like I collect them. I have one of each set, so yeah, I'm not gonna let it happen that I don't get one this time. And it's always nice to meet like everyone in the community, see all the shops in the country. I just like to travel around for it.
Yeah, for me, I haven't been very much recently. I didn't go to a single one last set, and I think the set before that, I might have gone to one or zero. Like, it's something that I used to really enjoy going to. I usually go with my dad. He usually likes to see the local community and go play. So if he's been playing a lot of Lorcana, he'll like try to coerce me into going to some set champs with him. But over the last couple sets, that hasn't been the case. This one, I will be going to 4. I'll be going to like 2 per weekend for 2 different weekends, and I'm really looking forward to that. I really like the local scene over here, all of the people that I've met, and it's like really the only opportunity that I get to go and play with them. So that's always a fun time. I'll probably be changing up my decks each time, just try something new, try something fun, and not really take it too seriously. Mostly just there to hang out with everybody.
But that's the key, though. I think for the people that are home that are watching and people in the chat, I think they might be interested. Like, what is the best deck to play? Like, if I'm not a player that is on like a DLC champion level, okay, and I'm going to a set championship, and my goal is to either get a card in top 8 or to win a set championship, no matter the size. We're not talking about a 50, 60, 70 person set championship if they even exist. We're talking about just that little 12 banger. You know what I'm saying? A little 8-piece chicken McNugget over there off to the side. What do I got to do? What is the deck that I should take to this tournament to win, you know, if that is my goal?
I think that the game has just proven over and over again that the best way to do well is by playing the deck that you're most comfortable with and you've played the most. And it really doesn't matter like where the like tier lists put them in the competitive rankings or whatever. As long as the deck's like a good deck, you're just going to be best served playing whatever you're most comfortable with. I think this was proved once again when Ed won the DLC in Taiwan, because everybody was talking about how green blue is not a very well positioned deck, and it's just the deck that Ed has by far the most experience with. And it's not like Ed is not a capable player who's not capable enough of playing a blurple deck or something. It's just that you get such an advantage when you're really in tune with a deck and really understand every single small inking decision and every single small challenging decision and whatever that you make throughout a game, that playing the deck you're most comfortable with will always just be the best way to perform. And right now, obviously, I think most people would say that Dogs is the best deck, but I think if Ed played Dogs in Taiwan, he probably would not have won the tournament. Last week in the CCQ in Montreal, Chris played Purple Steel, which is a deck he's been playing for several months. And so even though he thought it was not the best position deck, it was the deck that he thought he had the best chance to win with, and he did. And so I think you can take into account what the strongest decks in the meta are, but ultimately you're going to be best served just playing the deck you're most comfortable with, in my opinion.
Interesting. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think Ed's kind of trash, though, dude. I don't know. Maybe he couldn't do it because he's just not good. Is that a thought? I mean, that just.
I mean, I've seen him play Dogs, and it definitely might be true. When I said maybe he's not capable of playing a blurple, it might actually be true. I don't know. I was giving him too much credit. I don't know. What do you think, Ed? What are you playing this such?
I actually don't own any of the purple cards, the new ones like Demona and Hades. I actually just don't own them. Like when I bought them, I just gave them to Emily, so she's like the purple guy now. But yeah, I'll probably just end up playing green blue anyway, just because to me it's still fun, right? Like even though like I'm comfortable with it, I'm still having fun playing the deck. But if I was like, you know, just trying to what should I pick up to go to set champs if I want to win the tournament? I think the lowest floor deck right now probably still is dogs. Like even if you don't know how to play at all, I'm sure you can still like win a tournament. Like you said, like an 8-person, 12-person tournament. That's just like, not necessarily the professionals, right? Like if like Thiago shows up to your set champs, yeah, you're probably cooked. But like if you're just like 8 random people showing up to your set champs and like, they're just like your average, whatever local grinder. I think it's totally possible to just pick up dogs, like copy some of the, top players, like what they're doing, and then you can probably win the tournament. So I think in terms of lowest floor, it's probably dogs still, just because the game plan, I think, especially in the beginning, like the openers are like pretty strong no matter what, right? So I think it's probably still dogs. I think the other thing is, even though people are, quote unquote gunning for dogs, I think there's still so many angles that dogs can attack you with. Like going for the resource battle with like Lady Five, and like you said, like you can go under the sea on them with like Dellas, and going extra wide. Like there's so many ways for them to beat you. You can't just attack it from a single angle. So I think that's why like there's some misconceptions like, oh, I'm just gonna add Tigger or Isis or fire the cannons and that's good enough. I don't think that is good enough. I think like the deck has so many angles to attack you that even if you do like those type of things to them, they can still find a way to win the game.
Yeah, and I think that that's why Dogs has just been such a dominant deck throughout the format, is that it's actually just resilient to like the tech cards that people play against it, and you really need this like super critical mass, which most people can't pay that opportunity cost in their deck list. You just become too much worse into other decks. Robbie said you're going to try to win a set champs this season. I know you've kind of been playing everything. Where kind of you landing looking forward?
Well, I usually adopt the strategy that you have as well. Play a different deck for every set championship. Kind of vibing what Ed says. Like, I think one of us, regardless of the deck they play, have a decent shot at winning a set champ, unless Frank is your local, which is the case for me sometimes. Then it's significantly harder. I think for the first one, I'm going to try hard and just play dogs. It's also a deck that I'm strongly considering for Brazil. After that point, I'm just going to try all the wacky shit that I've seen around. I'm dying to try the Ruby Steel aggro deck. I would love to durdle around and play the Amber Ruby deck. I will even give the terrible Green Blue deck a try. Yeah, I'm just going to try it all.
Yeah, and also moving back to what Ed said of what he thinks of the chance, what the deck he thinks gives you the best chance if you've kind of not been super into the meta. I would say that if you have like played Lorcana before and now you're kind of just like getting back in for the set champ season, but you haven't like been super grinding this whole set, I still think that the best pick is Blurple. If that's your situation, I think that the deck just plays like so naturally, like you would in a card game. Like the lines will come really intuitive to you, where you're just like curving out and you're using your removal spells and card draw to like build these advantages throughout the game. And it's like, maybe it's not on a tier list as high as Dogs would be, but it's really up there. We saw it get 3 copies in the top 4 of the last DLC. And then it just like plays very intuitively if you have a lot of card game experience or just have been playing other decks in Lorcana similar.
No, you guys are wrong, dude. You guys are wrong, man. You got to play that Amethyst Steel Burn deck, dude. Lore galore deck. And see Ed Trauma.
Lore galore.
Give
only
that business.
That's all good, bro. That's all good, bro.
No. Sorry, man. I'm sorry.
I'm only here to beat Ed. You know. Then you play that.
Bro, not that I'm here to beat Ed guy.
I'm here to beat Ed. Dude, I'm only here to beat Ed this weekend. I asked my opponent in the final round to ID, and then he goes, "No, we have a bounty on you." I'm like, what? That's such a crazy.
Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. They had their own self-inflicted bounty.
Bro, they said we have a bounty on you. I'm like, that is crazy. And then and then he goes, "No ID. Top deck item destruction." Everyone cheer. Woo, he lost.
Oh, so they were. That's kind of messed up.
Can you come
man.
sign our cards now after cheering that lose? Man.
Come on, man. That's kind of messed up. That's kind of messed up.
It was pretty funny, actually. I was not that butthurt about it. Honestly,
nobody wants to be the villain though. Nobody wants to be rooted against and have everybody popping off and celebrating your demise, bro. You're not the Wicked Witch of the West, dude. Come on, man.
That was all good. I think it's like a lot more of like a local vibe there, you know, like it's not like one of these CCQs like Charlie's or like Ink where you see a lot of people flying out for them. It was like really like a giant set champs is like what it felt like, and so it's like cool to if I were them, like I'd think that it's cool that like this guy came over here, even though it was the closest CCQ for me. It was like it's closer to me than Ink Ink, it's closer than anything, but like from their perspective, I'm like over here to like take their invite or whatever, and then they're like cheering their friend. Like I was not like too bent out of shape about it. It was like pretty funny.
Okay. I guess that's fair, man. But I don't know. I'd have been pretty sad because I'm like, dude, I'm here. I want to have a good time. I want to win. I want to do my thing. But
we have a bounty on you. It's crazy though.
That's what you get. I guess you got to get like you got to start wearing. What you guys should start doing though is change your name in the Ravensburger Play Hub.
We were talking about that.
And wear masks. Like wear like a mask.
For weeks they were like talking in their group chats. Oh, Thiago's here. Blah blah blah. Bring your text. I play against Chris, who ends up winning it at like we're undefeated. He's like, yeah, you know, I don't really think that my deck is like perfectly well built for the meta distribution, but Habibi's like, you're gonna be 4-0 and then you're gonna play against a Thiago or something, and you're gonna need to have the text. And then he curved like 6 tech cards against me in a row. I'm like, bro, what is happening? But I mean, that's how it goes. If I changed my name on PlayHub, maybe it's a different story.
And wear like the
shiesty prosthetic face. You know what I'm saying?
the poo shiesty mask, and then you rip it off when you get to the finals. It was me all along. Is that legal? Can you do that, Judge? Let's find out.
You know, there's actually some states you actually can't wear shiesties.
Really? Is that real?
I think so.
But I just need it to get through the decklist submission phase. As long as I get through the decklist submission phase without people knowing, then I'm chilling.
No,
or I could have just played better.
You gotta mask up. You gotta mask up the whole time. I think that's the new strat. Yeah. Mask up, dude. I think we're like, or just wear like an N95 with some sunglasses and get like a beanie on.
I'll just take the loss.
Bro, I can spot Thiago from
I'll just lose. Bro. My ass will be in there jumping. What's up, guys? Bro.
Oh,
dude,
no,
this is so off the rails.
All right, we gotta lock back in. We'll my bad. We'll lock it back in.
Strategy, bro.
We're trying to get you right. This is what people want to hear, dude.
If I listened to you guys, maybe I would be qualified.
Take it to the next level.
I listen to you guys.
When you show up to a tournament dressed as Tuxedo Mask and you win this thing, got the Bane respirator on, and then you can, people are gonna be interested in what you got to say now.
I mean the final game was also like going really deep into time. I think a lot of the games were ending in draws in that tournament, and then our game was going really deep into time, and it would have been really beneficial for me to take a draw, but like I could have done this thing where I'm like bringing back my Lilo at the start of my turn, so my opponent's forced to challenge into it, which like takes some of his lore off the board. Like instead of questing, he has to challenge my Lilo, but it was like I would never win from that game state, and so I didn't really want to. It like felt kind of lame to like bring back my Lilo to force a draw, and so I chose not to do that, and I just took the loss on the chin. It's not really how I wanted to make the top cut. Like I'll just take my loss and call it a day.
Right on. That's honorable and respectable. But while we're talking about this, as we're still on the CCQ that took place in Montreal, we do have the winning deck list here, and you guys can do a little quick breakdown. This almost looks like a Frank Carson special, if I don't say so myself, with all of the one-ofs and the tech choices and the different engines you have available. Can you guys just talk about this deck? We'll start with you, Thiago, again, as you used to play Indy still a lot.
Start on this one.
Oh, you're going to start. Rob is going to start. ISO.
I feel like I need to defend Frank's honor here. This could never be a Frank deck list. Because they're playing Fire the Cannons. Frank would not be caught dead playing Fire the Cannons in his deck. So I just want to get that out there.
Okay, no, please. Why? I didn't know he had such an aversion.
You can quote me on this.
Okay. Respect.
Other than that, I do agree that the one-offs and the two-offs are indicative of how Frank plays. Although I'm not sure that the manner in which this player is doing it is how he would, because like the curve. It doesn't feel like they're playing one or two offs to fill up the curve. It's just like I feel like they want to play some tech cards, and that's why they're doing it.
Just have like
I mean, like the Tigger, the Pluto, the Benjas, the Pocahontas, and the Boost Genie are all cards that are teched for a matchup. And Frank is usually playing like the one and two offs to fill up the curve in a way that he feels is optimal. And just to answer Disney Nerd J's question, he's anti-fire the cannons because it is mostly only good on turn 1 and 2 or 3 maybe. It is just very awkward to draw mid to late game. It's just a super dead card sometimes. and you cannot afford to draw such a dead card that is uninkable.
So, yeah, Rob is talking to our chat here on Metafy. If you guys want to subscribe to the Metafy, you're able to watch us live and a day or two before the YouTube recording comes out. So yeah, if you guys want to chat with us while we are recording the podcast, check out the Metafy and you're able to do so. As far as the deck list goes, I agree that this is really not in the same way that Frank would build it. I think one of the biggest glaring indicators of that is this 2-drop slot. I think one of the big reasons why Frank writes his deck lists in the way that he does is in order to maximize the consistency of your suitable plays on every single turn of the game. And this Christopher Robin is not really a suitable play on the second turn of the game in most matchups, and can typically leave you very far behind, especially against some of these dog decks that are really keyed in on casting under the sea. And so we see a lot of the early parts of the curve are kind of weak in terms of how many cards you have to play each turn. It just has 9 1-drops. It just has 3 Calhouns and a single Pocahontas, which you're like looking to play on turn 2, as well as the 4 Christopher Robins and 3 Docs, which you're not really that interested in playing. And then on your turn 3, you only have 9 3-drops outside of these benches. And after that, you get into sort of a bigger selection of some cards to play on curve. Another problem with the Fire the Cannons is just that it is a narrow uninkable card. And so when you're playing uninkable cards, you are forced to play them every single game. Otherwise, you're playing down a card. And so you kind of want some flexibility in the way that you're able to apply them. And a card like Fire the Cannons is not really the most flexible card. However, I would probably play Fire the Cannons if I were playing Purple Steel. I think that it's worth it to kind of have this inefficient card in some matchups to help you in a lot of the other matchups. And I think that you're able to kind of leverage the tempo advantage that a card like Fire the Cannons gives you in order to kind of play this mid-game, which a lot of decks are struggling to interact with, revolving around cards like Yzma and Demona. So yeah, I would, even though it has a lot of different cards, I would also agree that this is not really a Frank list, but I think we see some of the same principles. I know that the biggest detractor to the way that Frank builds his deck is Ed, who won the DLC last week playing his special 2-liner. So Ed, what do you kind of think when you look at a deck list like this?
Yeah, I mean, my philosophy is like, to me, there's like the best cards, and then you just play the best cards, right? I know, like, yeah, Frank and I guess Chris, their philosophy is like, we want to have the variability, right? Being able to play the best card in the best situation. I guess sometimes you can also have the wrong cards in the wrong situation, right? So I guess that's why I kind of don't agree with it. But I think the other upside is being able to play a bunch of tech cards, especially if you're playing into such a wide field, which is kind of where we are right now. There's dogs, there's blue-green, there's blurple, there's like, red, yellow, amber, so literally everything, right? So I can see kind of the appeal of building your deck this way. And I think my problem with Fire the Cannons is like when you play it on curve, it's like kind of awkward unless you go like triple ones, I guess. Like you go 1-drop into Fire the Cannons 1-drop. Like besides that, if you're just like playing it on 2 with nothing else, it feels really weak, especially if you're just trying to shoot like a Grandma Willow or something like that. I feel like you're just not developing to the board enough if you end up doing something like that.
Yeah, historically, one of the big problems with Fire the Cannons has been your deck is built around Strength of Raging Fire. It's the most important card in your deck. So if you're not casting it on turn 1 or 2, then you would like kind of want to cast it on turn 3 as like the next best play. And then if you're casting it on turn 3, you're not developing a 3-cost Singer alongside of it. And so if you go like 2-drop plus Fire the Cannons on turn 3, your Strength of Raging Fire is delayed, and that's usually like really, really detrimental to the deck. However, now it's a little bit less the case because a card like Strength of Raging Fire is not as powerful as it was in like set 7 or set 9, excuse me. It's kind of one of the less one of the big changes in the deck is like the priority on Strength of Raging Fire is a lot diminished because just the kind of decks that are in the format, there's a bigger quantity of these decks playing these hand discarding effects like Ursula and Mowgli, and some other decks just it doesn't take over the game like it used to. Like against blue-green, it doesn't really take over the game like it did against blue-green in set 9, or it does in some other matchups.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the other thing is like now that we have Angel as well as Fire the Cannons, you get a little bit more flexibility maybe in like the mid game where you just need to like pick off if your opponent is going a little bit too wide. You have like Angel and Fire the Cannons to be able to like, just clean up these like 2 willpower cards from like dogs, for example. So I mean honestly this deck like looks reasonable. Like I'm not gonna say it's like a bad deck, but yeah, I mean it has a bunch of like random tech cards. And if you do see him at the right time, of course, you're gonna win, right? Like, Thiago said, like he literally drew 6 of the tech cards against him, back to back to back. And sometimes you do need to get lucky like that in order to win the tournament. So, I mean, to me, it looks totally reasonable, and I can see, how he won the tournament.
Oh, for sure. And when I say when I say
a really good player.
when I say stuff like this is a Frank deck. For me and for most people in the community, you have an Ed deck and you have a Frank deck. Okay, that's it. There's no delineation. There's no
Zan deck.
I mean, you can probably say you have a Zan deck. I'm not sure, but it's an Ed deck or it's a Frank deck because you're notorious.
Wait, do you know the Zan?
What's the Zan deck?
It's the 3-3-3-3, bro.
3s all across.
It's a 2-liner, but no, it's like it's like a 2-liner, but there's 4 cards that are 3 copies.
Whenever we're building decks, Ed will randomly just come up with these like, I swear he's making it up on the spot every time. He's like, this is the Zan, this is the Ed, this is the the Barbara from Set Champs, this is the JDZ Quest, this is the J Shaft. Like he actually just makes it up and then he sticks with that. He remembers them every time. So then in 2 months when we're building another deck list and I put 4 3-ups in my deck, he's like, dude, you're making the Zan again. You want to be Zan so bad.
I like that. I mean, I think that's just a little bit of identity, but just having so many different copies of different cards, and it did work out. And I did have the opportunity to go back and rewatch that finals. And the Fire the Cannons, you guys might not agree with me, but that card low key won the tournament for this Illumineer, and I think it came up quite huge in a couple of tight spots for him. And again, taking nothing away from ETB Chris, I think he's a phenomenal player, phenomenal team. I'll be at the ETB CCQ that's happening in late May. If you guys want to come through and hang out, we'll be there. Also, there's going to be a CCQ by the World Class Cards, a date. Line, I don't know the day off the top of my head. I'm so terrible, dude. Does anybody know the date for the CCQ? We can get that out to you guys. Let me set that all up.
It is in the middle of June, I believe. Like
the middle of June.
I'll double check the date.
Mid-June, but we'll get that to you guys, and hopefully we'll see you all there for the CCQ in Lambeau Field. Shout out to all of you for being here. If you are watching and we're shooting this live in front of a studio audience, is what Thiago's got to say from when you're doing it.
It's June 13th and 14th.
June 13th and 14th is going to be the CCQ in Lambeau Field. All you guys are going, right? Who's all not going to the CCQ for WCC?
I will try to make it. That sounds so sick, like being in Lambeau. I went to Lambeau once when I was like maybe 8 or 9 years old, and it was electric. But it was also like literally -5 degrees or something. So I'm looking forward to being there in the summer this time for sure.
Okay, we're coming. We're making it happen. Rob, you're coming. Ed, you're coming.
I wish I was, man. It would mean I'd have to take an extra week off to just travel to America. Not sure if I can do that for a CCQ or I'm already qualified.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot you already. Keep rubbing it in, okay? Keep rubbing it in for everybody. I'll get Thiago.
Yeah.
Every chance I get, bro. Every chance I get.
JDZ, next time he says that, you have to tell him that he has the least qualifications of anybody in the call. So you can save that one for next time.
Is that it? Yeah. Were we counting number,
how many
not proximity?
Does JDZ have?
Wait a minute. Hold up,
JDZ's
dude.
qualified to everything.
Come on, man. Why am I taking shots, dude? What
exactly.
You're qualified for everything, buddy. You're qualified to go everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah.
There you go.
Anyways, huge congratulations to Chris. I think Chris is a really, really great player, and I think he's been like so close to qualifying so many times that it'd be a real shame if we didn't see him at the Continental Championships. So, and you were talking about the ETB CCQ. It was actually huge that he's able to win this one because he's organizing that one, so he would not have been able to play. So at least he got his qualification in the books, and looking forward to see what he does at the Continental Championship.
that CCQ is going to be Infinity. So there will be a nice big push to Infinity. And we did get some breaking news this past week regarding Infinity. Our favorite toy maker, the big rat himself, Hiram Flaversham, is no longer going to be a part of the Infinity format. And I know that kind of struck a nerve with a lot of Illumineers around the community. A lot of people had a lot of different things they felt and wanted to say about that and their thoughts on that and how that's going to shape the Infinity metagame coming up. I've been dabbling a little bit in Infinity. A lot of people are pro and con. I'm not sure how you guys feel about Infinity, but we could just talk about Infinity as a whole, the shift towards Infinity, and also your thoughts and emotions on the banning of the Hiram Flaversham. We'll go with Rob, man. What do you guys think about Hiram being banned and your overarching thoughts on the Infinity format as a whole?
I am not completely sure it needed to be banned, but banning it early does mean that the entire format gets broken up a little bit more. People need to be more creative. People will start branching out to more decks. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing to do, but I also am not confident that it was needed at this point. I think there were plenty of viable decks that could fight Hiram. In the regards to the format and the tournament series itself, I love there being a secondary format. Like I come from Magic, there were like a bunch of different formats. I love including that in Lorcana, change things up a little bit, get the creative juices flowing for everyone. I do, however, think that Ravensburger needs to up their game and promote it a little bit more. I was a little disappointed that the set champs coming next month are not Infinity at all. I think that would have been something very good to stimulate people to test and play the formats for the upcoming challenges. But I hope that because of the challenges, people will automatically start playing a little bit more and just see how great the format is and see how much you can enjoy like a secondary format of the game.
Yeah, I'm thrilled that Hiram's banned. Get that nonsense out of here. Nobody likes this guy. Nobody likes these blue decks. They're so boring. My opponent's sitting there taking 14 actions in a turn. I'll play Popsicle, draw a card, play Fortisphere, draw a card, exert my items, pay 0, play Scrooge, look at top 4 cards of my deck, take 1, put it down, activate Hiram, break an item, draw 2 cards. I've spent 2 ink so far in this turn that I've described. Like, I still have another 8 ink to spend. Like, get this nonsense out of here. The blue players, after Hiram got banned, they were playing Workshop and Standard anyways, and so those decks were like pretty powerful. Something that I think is going to be like an unintended consequence is a lot of the hyper aggressive decks were like had been doing pretty well in Infinity, and I think a lot of them are going to take a bit of a hit because there's going to be a lot less of these slow blue strategies and more decks like Green Steel or Amber Steel Songs, which were really, really oppressive to the aggressive decks. So I think that they're going to struggle a little bit more than they would have under the previous format, but I'm excited to see where things go.
But to that point, you made a very valid point. But all those game actions and all those super sloggy turns that you described about the Sapphire strategy, they still can do all that stuff without Hiram, and they're probably going to do it even worse because the Sapphire coils are going to be returning back. The Oswald stuff is going to be coming back. The item carpet bag shenanigans is going to start coming back. The Tamatoa is going to get much worse. I don't know if it is going to change the way the Sapphire strategies play at all with Hiram being gone, but I don't know. Ed, what do you think about Hiram? What did he need to take a ban? Was there other cards that probably should have called a ban list? What are your thoughts on Infinity? What are you guys playing in Infinity?
Yeah, I mean, it reminded me of like the World. It's basically kind of like the World's format because Hiram was also banned during World's format, right? So yeah, I mean, the aggressive strategies were really good. I mean, it was like a color block thing, so maybe that's why it's like a little bit different. But I think there's still going to be Sapphire decks, and it depends on where the meta like ends up, right? If there's a lot of people playing aggro strategies, of course Sapphire is going to get a lot worse because you can't just draw a bunch of cards while they're questing for like 10 every turn, right? And right now there are more and more kind of aggressive cards coming out. Like now there's like Infinity Dogs. I don't know if it's going to be that good, to be honest, but the options there. There's a bunch of these like new steel like 2-cost cards that can quest for a lot, like the Nala and the Lilo and the Nani, like that kind of stuff. Also makes like stuff like the old Diggy deck like a lot better, right? So I think it really depends on like what people project the best deck is going to be, and then based on that, people are going to adapt to it. So right now it seems like it's going to be like the aggro decks, and then I would say Emerald Steel probably is the second best kind of like anti-aggro deck because of Muses specifically. Like I've seen some really, really disgusting things with Muses. Like you can come back from board states where you're really don't have any kind of business coming back from, just because you can cast like so many songs with like Ursula, recycle stuff with like Max Goof. So I think Emerald still is looking pretty good, and I think they still have some game into the Sapphire decks now that Hiram is no longer there, right? Before, I remember when I used to play Emerald Steel, like if I saw my opponent play Hiram, I just straight up lose the game. And now that they don't have that option, I think the discard cards become a lot stronger. And then now, there's ways to recycle the discard cards, or with like Max Goof, and there's ways to like, just completely discard your entire hand. So right now, like for me, if I was playing Infinity, like the first deck I'm kind of looking at is Emerald Steel. Personally, I think Emerald is probably one of the best kind of colors right now in Infinity. I know a lot of people say it's Amber just because of, I guess, yeah, there's a lot of new Amber cards that kind of came out, but I think Emerald is really strong just because of the Diablo. I think Diablo is like kind of one of the premier engines of the game, and Muses is one of the premier kind of like anti-aggro, kind of control the board cards, and this card has always been really strong. So I think that's kind of where I'm at, and I think a lot of people will probably have like a similar kind of thought. So I think, yeah, Diablo, I think is gonna still be the menace that it once was.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is that like when Hiram was legal, the blue cards were the most powerful thing you could do, and then now that Hiram's not legal, the next you just like go down the checklist, and what's the next most powerful thing you can do? Shifting Diablo and bouncing stuff with Muses. So I think that that's going to be where a lot of people like naturally lean towards. I think a lot of the green combinations are going to be strong. I don't think it's specifically Emerald Steel that's going to be like by far and away the best. I think Emerald Amethyst and Emerald Amber will also both be quite strong, and I know a lot of people have been playing Emerald Sapphire item decks. So I think basically the blue players will like still be allowed to play their blue cards, and it'll still be powerful, but it's just not going to be completely oppressive and by far and away the most powerful thing that you can do. And I think that that's overall a good thing. I think there could perhaps be another. They should be open to having another ban list update before the DLCs. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think it's pretty unlikely that it would happen, but I do think that they should be open to that. I think one of the newest tools that decks have been having access to, like Ed said, where it's pretty similar to the Worlds format, like right pre-rotation after Hiram was banned. I think one of the biggest different things is going to be Akud at Amuti being legal now. I think that this is a card that is only okay in the core constructed format, but is going to be really, really oppressive in the Infinity format. I think the ability to sing it on turn 2 with a lot of consistency is not something that core constructed decks have access to, and it's something that the Infinity decks are going to be able to do with cards like Cinderella, with the ability to sing it after shifting a Diablo on the second turn of the game, and with Angel Underdog, which you have access to in core. I just think that there's so many different ways that you can cast this on turn 2 consistently, and so many powerful things that it can bring in. You can play a Muses on turn 2, you can play Ariel, Prince John, 3-cost Diablo, all alongside a Grandmother Willow with this on turn 2, and I think this every single Amber deck that plays Cinderella should be considering playing a Akud.
Yeah, you can bring in a Beast Tragic Hero super early too, and that's just very, very obnoxious. Just having these high, powerful cards with great impact coming onto the board so early. But you brought up something I kind of want to touch on. You said that they probably could have a more robust ban list potentially before the DLC, or maybe even after one round of DLCs, because they're going to be two. Dortmund and Indianapolis are both going to be Infinity formats. What are some of the cards? We can kind of go around to everyone, and I want some answers. You can't just give me the nothing and pass. Give me some answers. What cards would you like to see onto this Infinity ban list to make the format a little bit more digestible and playable? We'll go with a couple cards each. Whoever wants to start.
All right, I'm gonna finish my thought with Akud and say that Akud should probably be banned before the format starts. I think that other cards that are free or close to free and mess up the kind of ink math that cards are typically balanced within, I think should all be considered. I think a card like the 7-cost Tramp is something that might become problematic at some point in Infinity. And finally, I think that one core card from the green shell should be removed, whether it's Prince John or Muses or Diablo. I think all are fine. I think all lead to kind of unappealing play patterns, and I think a lot of them kind of suppress a lot of the choices that people can make in terms of what deck they should bring to a tournament.
Hot choices, hot text. What about you, Ed? What are we banning? You got to ban somebody. You can't just let it rock. And you can't pick any of Thiago's answers either.
Yeah, I mean, those are all the good ones, obviously, right? But I think the main problem is like there's no data to kind of base off like all these things. Like, what do we have so far? Like Friday side events, Sunday side events for the DLCs, and that's kind of all we have to go on. And like honestly, those things are kind of all over the place. Like, I don't know if people are like I'm not saying people are not taking it seriously, but like what's at stake versus like getting your World's invite or Continental invite is totally different, right? When Mickey Mouses are on the line. Like, I think people are really going to potentially just save the tech for that, right? But, yeah, I mean, obviously all the green cards are good. Honestly, I don't even know what else. Like, everything else seems totally fair, right? Like, honestly, like, right now, like you said, it goes down the list, right? Pyramid was super broken, and then now it's, like, Diablo, Prince John, yeah, Muses, of course. I don't think they're going to ban Muses. I think Muses, like, okay. But you can kind of see the pattern with, like, the green cards, right? Like, Ward is just kind of too much of a problem right now. I don't know if they can fix that with like, for example, back then at Worlds there wasn't Demona, right? Like how much does Demona change the format if you're able to just exert these cards and just attack them? But if you think about it, it's potentially just too late, right? Like Demona costs 6, and like these cards you can play on turn 2, 3, 4, etc. With the Diablo, Prince John Muses, and by that time those cards are also paired with the discard cards. So it's totally possible that by the time you get to turn 6, you literally have 0 cards in hand. So I think it's another one of those problems where it could be that discard just becomes too strong, right? Like what's like the ultimate killer of control, just discarding your entire hand. And the problem is they also have the control the board aspect as well, right? In addition to discarding your cards, they have Muses to bounce all your cards back. So I think going back to our discussion, like which is the best Emerald pairing, every Emerald pairing has like some of the, pros and cons, right? The reason why I think it's Steel is because you have Strength of Raging Fire, you have Let the Storm Rage On, you have Pete. I think Pete is also going to be one of the big kind of potentially worth banning like type of card, just because it right now in Infinity there's so many good actions, right, that you can stop. Like even I don't know if people are going to play Be Prepared anymore, but being able to stop like in an Emerald match, being able to stop them from singing a song, and then you're able to sing your song first is so strong that I think Pete definitely makes the cut if you're playing Steel and is one of the main reasons to play Steel. And then if you're playing Emerald Amethyst, the reason to play that deck is you're able to play like Peter Pan Shadow Finder, right? Being able to attack like Diablos cleanly without your opponent knowing is really, really strong. And Genie also blocks it. You get to play Elsa. So you are basically the king of the evasives, right? So that's like one of the main reasons to play that deck. You also have ways to, play, the lever cards. I think those cards have always been very powerful. So yeah, that's another reason to play that deck, right? And then obviously we talked about the Ember deck being able to, do the Kita Under the Sea thing. That's like a one-sided board wipe that, is still, I think is still relatively strong. Just being able to, like, a lot of stuff cannot withstand it, right? Most cards in the format have 5 attack or less. So you're going to be able to, consistently get that board wipe. So I think, yeah, I guess my answer is Pete. I think Pete is probably too strong right now in this format just because of all the good actions. It even blocks the Cood potentially, right? So, yeah, there's a lot of good reasons to play Emerald right now.
Dang, man. Tough. Pete is a tough choice. What about you, Rob? If you got to ban somebody, who's getting added to the list?
Well, before I start talking about bans, like in the extension of Pete's, I think a new card that's at least worth talking about is Keep the Ancient Ways. I think that's going to be a card that locks out a lot of gameplay. It's the 2-cost action song that says your opponents can't play action or items until the start of your next turn. I think there are certain scenarios where this card is just going to prevent your opponent from playing the game at all. I mean, you can even loop it back with like what's it called? Is it the Goofy card or like the Max Goof card, right?
Yeah.
Like if you have enough ways to get the song back in your hand, you get to play it for like 3 turns in a row. imagine being like the Amber Emerald deck or like a Ruby deck or an item deck. You just don't get to play the game at all. And traditionally, preventing your opponent from playing the game is not only powerful, but it's also something that's really frustrating for a lot of players. Like this is very much adjacent to the discard theme, where people, especially newer players, feel like they don't get to play their game, so it's not fun. And coincidentally, this matches perfectly in the discard deck itself, which is already a deck that people don't enjoy playing against because they don't get to play the game. It's also nice because you're forcing people to keep cards in their hand, and then you get them to discard those cards. So I potentially see a problem there, depending on how the meta shapes up. Like if the action and item decks are really, really powerful, then something like this might just be a game changer.
I do think that a card like that, like when you're comparing it with Pete's, like there's a big difference that like if your opponent uses one of these you can't cast action spells, like, and you're trying to loop the Ancient Ways card, like you get locked out of the game when you were trying to lock them out, but you can still like play a Pete in that situation and then stop them from doing their loop. And so the fact that Pete gets around these effects, whereas the song does not get around these effects, is like a big point as to why I think that Pete is like ultimately more problematic, because the Pete can't be interacted with, whereas this card can be interacted with. And I also think like part of the problematic loop is Muses like bouncing Max Goof every time you cast this card. And so if the Muses were targeted with a ban, which I think is more likely because that card is really, really frustrating for a lot of people to play against, then you would kind of stop the loop from happening also.
Yeah,
I think
totally agree. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think that just stresses my point even more. Like, I think this card is something that adds to the reason why all those broken cards that you mentioned already are just very, very problematic. Ed, if you want to respond to this before I get into my ban choices.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say like the Ancient Ways card is kind of like in Yu-Gi-Oh, like Cold Wave, right? But I think the main difference between Cold Wave and this card is like Cold Wave, you can set up such an unbreakable board that you straight up win the game. I think in Lorcana it doesn't work that way, right? It's like even if you have one turn to like set up a really good board, it's still possible to like come back if you play like some characters. It's not like 100% like lost. So I think that's why it's like slightly different. But obviously, if you're able to like loop it and you don't like Pete it, then yeah, I guess you can lose the game that way. But just like a one-off thing, if you just like cast it one time, it's not the end of the world.
That's fun.
No, it certainly is the looping that's problematic. Well, you guys got all the good picks already, like in regards to bans.
But some like
the
completely
word
out of left field cards, some complete nonsense.
complete nonsense.
Half my ban list is nonsense, dude. I got so much nonsense.
I'll start with
Yeah.
a somewhat serious one, because I am expecting cards like Muses and Prince John to be and Diablo to be relatively high on the priority list for bans. As soon as something like that happens, I think the next thing you could look at is like the shift Sisu. I don't think you can do it right now because it's one of the very few answers to all the problematic cards that you just mentioned. But as soon as those are taken out, I think Sisu is going to be super dominant. But if I'm thinking about realistic bans right now, I'm just gonna go deeper into the pool that you already mentioned, like the free spells. All the free stuff is just like, I know from Magic how powerful free stuff can be. So probably like the destroy an item bell that you can play for free, the blue one for free. Banish an item, play it for free. That's a really good one. And just to put the nail in the coffin for the blue decks, I would probably ban something like one of the Tomatowers or something.
Just anyone, just anyone, any Tamatoa you want, or the big one or the smaller one.
Yeah, just pick one. One is fine. And like, as soon as you start doing all this shit, like some of the hyper aggro decks might be getting very powerful. So something like Daisy could be in the conversation, I think.
Okay. I personally come from a game where we have a pretty robust ban list. I would like this thing to have a ton of cards on it and just to shake it up, because I know Infinity is going to be a format that we're going to play for potentially infinite amount of time as long as this game is around. And maybe if you have a robust ban list, you can always go back in, take cards off, and just kind of cycle it that way. And I think that could be a healthy and fair way to play, because I know for certain that if this format does go to the route that you guys are thinking, that everyone is thinking, and it becomes a discard centric thing, people are not going to have a good time with that experience, and then it's going to fall by the wayside, and then Affinity will not get that support that we want it to have, because we would like to have a nice variety of different ways to play, Infinity being the everlasting format, and then Core Constructed being the main format that people play. All right, my nonsense ban real quick. I'm gonna throw this on the list real quick. I'm banning, you guys might not agree with me, I would ban this guy right here. I would ban the Diablo, but not the one you guys are thinking. I'm banning the 1-cost green Diablo. This guy's gone.
The 1-cost green Diablo. You know what? That's actually a really interesting one. It like kind of forces the Diablo to. It basically becomes like a dueling card with purple, where you have to play it with purple, and then you can't really pair it with a lot of these like really oppressive cards that make the game really annoying. Like we usually see the purple versions not even playing cards like Muses, and usually playing very low counts of Prince John, and it's more of like a tempo deck, kind of trying to overload threats with the Diablo shift, and then having Ursula strip away answers, and then following it up with cards like Genie and Elsa and Cricky, to kind of build this like sort of, you're playing basically like a tempo deck that uses these discard cards to like make your opponent play really inefficiently. I do think that it kind of takes away a lot of the diversity that we have, where you can kind of choose how you want to play your Diablo strategy, and kind of pigeonholes it into just one archetype, which isn't always the best thing. I think that we kind of
you can
want
pay too. You still can play. You can play it in red as well. You can play the Ruby Diablo. There is a Ruby Diablo that became shipped legally. Okay.
I think you guys are all disrespecting my boy Morph here.
Morph exists as well. Yeah, Morph is still around.
You're blatantly disrespecting him.
But the thing is that Wendy's, when it comes a day, when it comes to turn after, it like makes such a big difference, because then you're curving into a lot of the removal spells that people play. You're like curving into cards like Brawl. You're like curving into the Robot Queen. You're like curving into your opponent, just casting cards like Genie and Elsa, ramped Elsa and whatever, and like it just gets so much less value throughout the game. You're curving into Peter Pan Shadowfinder, and so a lot of the like value that you get out of him is really, really greatly diminished if it comes the next turn. But I do think that it's like a cool idea, and I think one of the problems with how you said like you want a pretty like active ban list where they're adding and removing things to it is that people who these decks, as more sets come out and as these cards are further away from their print run, they might become a little bit more expensive and inaccessible. And so if somebody invests a lot of money to building a deck and then it gets banned, like that could really push them away from the game. I think right now, when we take a look and see the Hiram ban, I think that anybody who was planning on playing some of these item strategies with Sapphire paired with Steel or Ruby, I think that they can pivot into playing some of these workshop decks and it largely be similar, and they didn't like lose their investment of what they put their money into. And I think as long as that's kind of the case, I think it's still like a healthy thing to do. I think it's good to like shake up the meta. And so if you're doing something like this where you're banning this Diablo instead of the 3-cost shift Diablo, then people can kind of pivot into playing still Diablo shell. They get to keep their Prince Johns and keep their Diablos and keep their discard cards largely, and then just make a little bit of a tweak and still be able to play the deck that they invested in at a more reasonable power level.
I like it.
Yeah, I don't mind this ban at all.
I like it.
All right. You said you have one more. Let's see it. This one, I want to see something crazy.
All right, my other one. No, this one's not as crazy. This was not as crazy, but I'm banning this immediately. I just don't like it. I'm banning You Know the Way, dude. It's out of here. We Know the Way. It's what it's called. The Amethyst, We Know the Way. I want to close that loop. I don't like loops. I don't like alternate win conditions. I'm throwing this card out of the game immediately. I think as more cards come out and as the game design team is making these reduced cost effects, and we have that very consistent, not super consistent, hyper consistent combo with the Monsters Well, the Great Illuminary, I think in an Infinity style format or forever, if we're playing this game for years and years and years, I think you're going to start to limit your card pool if you keep a card like this around. I think it doesn't really fit. We don't really need it. It doesn't serve any inherent purpose except for facilitating like a degenerate OTK kind of playstyle. And I would like to get this card just removed from the game now, go ugly early, and then you don't have to worry about it, because eventually someone's going to figure out how to land a turn 4 Monstro consistently, or turn 5 Monstro consistently, and then literally just win the game the very next turn, unless we have that Pete, keep the ancient ways type stuff going on. This is my thoughts. What do you guys think about this one? Would you throw this out of the game if you could?
Yeah, I think it's a good shout. I think it's something that's not a problem right now, but in the future
Mm-hmm.
it could absolutely be a problem. And so I think that it's kind of unlikely that we're going to see a proactive ban like this. I think they're kind of shown us how they're pretty
Yeah.
reluctant to take a ban. And so I think they're only going to do it when something proves to be a really, really big problem. But I can absolutely see this, being pretty problematic at some point.
Yeah. I like it.
Another card that we didn't talk about is the Grandmother Willow, which is arguably the best card in the core constructed format. And so it's also another card that lets you cheat a bunch of ink. And I would also not be surprised if that card at some point gets the ban hammer.
Yeah. Could you see a card banned in Infinity but legal in core constructed?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think a card like how we talked about Akud, I think it just has a lot more applicability in the Infinity format because of the singers that are able to sing it at an early spot in the game. I think some cards just lend themselves more towards the card availability that we have in Infinity. Like a card like the Robot Queen, while it's not a card that's going to get banned, is a card that's extremely powerful in Infinity and is not good at all in core constructed. Or like the Ancient Ways song is another card that like has a much stronger application in the Infinity format and would not be super powerful in the core constructed format. So I think that it's just a matter of time before we see something like that, even if it's not this format. Over the next couple of years, I absolutely think that can and will be the case at some point.
Nice. Anybody got anything? I got one more. That just hit me again, and we can get your guys' thoughts on this. But I'm throwing this thing on the list as well, just out of spite, maybe a little bit of spite for myself. I think this also fits the role of the alternate win condition, which I don't really enjoy. It doesn't fit my sensibility as a player or as a community member. I don't like. I want to. You win. Let's just keep it in between the lines. Let's win fair and square. And I don't think this card is fair or square. I think it's a little bit outside of the lines a little bit, and what it can do and its power, especially when you have that 6-cost Amatoa that can play this card for free, and then you can immediately use it and just kind of go from 0 to 20 like in one turn. I think Lucky Dime facilitates some gross gameplay from time to time, and I think it should get out of here. What do you guys think about that?
What do you
I
think?
wholeheartedly disagree.
Okay, understood.
I do understand the sense that you dislike losing to a card like this, but if someone is willing to invest a 7-cost uninkable, does nothing by itself in their deck, then by all means, please win the dead card eventually.
I mean, it's too strong with Tomato. I think that's the main problem.
Yeah.
Like being able to play for free. I've done that back in my day. It's really disgusting. You know what I mean? So I think it's one of those cards where it also kind of limits some decks from being played. I remember back then the reason why like red purple was basically unplayable was because of Lucky Dime, because you just had no way to interact with the card, right? And right now there's still kind of no ways, or like there are some ways, but it's not very popular to kind of interact with item destruction in Infinity right now, just because it's so easy to go under, right? And if it ends up being like a hyper aggro format, then yeah, obviously Dime's not gonna be a problem. But even if it becomes like a control kind of like meta, I think you still need like a one of these type of cards in order to finish the game. Otherwise, the games will literally just go on forever, right? So
Very true.
I think these type of cards are kind of necessary in the format just to keep it kind of balanced.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Okay.
With that being said, how many of these cards do we think are going to get banned before the DLC? 0. How many
0.
games of Infinity have most of us played? 0. So take it all with a grain of salt. But we're just I think that these are some things to think about before diving into the Infinity testing. I know a lot of us still have a DLC in São Paulo that's going to be in this format, and then we still have the Set 12 release before we have to really start diving into Infinity. And so it's still maybe about a month and a half before we see a lot of people really, really diving into it, or I guess about a month out. And so I think until then, a lot of things are going to remain unexplored. A lot of things are going to remain like kind of just in theory. And then after that, everything will probably go silent as people save what they've been cooking up for the DLC. And the it's pretty cool that we're getting a big string of DLCs in a row, so that people are we get a big chunk of data, we get a big chunk of people reacting to the data, and then we can kind of know where to go from there after the format's kind of been established. I think that that's one of the big qualms that people have with the Infinity DLCs and why they haven't really been selling out at the same speed of some previous DLCs, is that people just don't even know where to start. And so as soon as deck lists get out there, as soon as we see a lot of these pro players playing in these tournaments and posting their deck lists online, I think the Infinity format's something that's just going to have to like grow throughout the game's span. And I think that right now it's like, to me, it doesn't feel super problematic that people aren't like that interested in diving into it right away. I think that it's something that we should expect to have to grow, and to me that's not like super worrying.
Okay. I don't know, man. I've been playing a little bit. It's kind of fun, but it does get a bit daunting when those very powerful plays happen. Like, oh, what am I doing with this? What is really going down with this Infinity thing? I don't know. So it might there will be some growth pains.
Different game. Yeah. Like in standard right now, we're playing like such a vanilla game. Like we had to play a set 7 tournament about a month and a half ago in China because they're like behind, and then I'm just like playing a top 16 game at a DLC, and my opponent has 0 cards in hand and draws a whole new world, and now they have 7 cards in hand, and it's like that's just like how your tournament's gonna end in Infinity, and like you're gonna be like turn 3 with 0 cards in hand, not able to play the game, and because they discarded you a bunch of times, or your opponent's just gonna have like 3 cost Ursula Deceiver of All, and then play Muses, and then sing a song, kill 2 of your characters, bounce the other 2, and then you're gonna be like, what am I doing here? Like I think that it's definitely gonna feel really frustrating going from the format that we're going to now, where the things people are considering, or the things that people consider super oppressive now, are going like a 5-mana 2/5 rush removal spell into like a Demona or something. Like this is like the backbreaking thing that we complain about right now. It's like gonna be such a night and day difference to the power level of what some of the Infinity decks are doing, and sort of the lack of tools that you have to interact with them.
They got me all sad, man. I was feeling good about Infinity, but I don't know. Our backs might be up against the wall. But what we can do real quick, as we're starting to get closer to time, I want to open up for Q&As. We have the pros here. We have Rob, we have Ed, we have Thiago. The pros are in the building. If you guys have any questions or any thoughts on your mind live from the live chat, please get those questions in, and we can kind of start to shift and talk about those. Maybe get some insight on some information of what you're taking to your set championships. And if you're watching this on YouTube, if you guys want to be a part of the live showcase filmed in front of a live studio audience, make sure you get into the description and get into the Metafy, and you can also participate in that. So the questions are open. One question we did get a little bit earlier is any locations you guys expect to see. Rob, you already spoke about this a bit in the chat. Any location you guys expect to see? Manor being one. Are locations coming back in the Infinity format? Just based on some of your analysis, I know you haven't been taking the time to really apply your full power to Infinity. There's been a huge focus on Core Constructed, but in theory, do you see, Rob, since you already answered this, you're going to talk elaborate more on your thoughts on locations in Infinity?
Before actually going into it, I think we should also mention that we're doing 2 giveaways today. We got the green lights from the big boss himself to give away 2 boxes of Winterspell today, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, I mean, Wilds Unknown, my bad. So maybe you could work that in a little bit. In regards to the locations, I don't really see the locations being on the same power level of some of the other broken stuff that we're going to be doing in Infinity. But maybe some of the decks are going to be including a couple. The potentials that I see are library. I mean, 8 toughness and card draw is pretty good. Hidden coves are always a consideration for the Emerald decks, especially with like Diablo birds growing in size a little bit so they don't get eaten as easily, and as a tool against Under the Sea, Sisu, and what do you call them? The Muses. That's always a consideration. And depending on the removal that's in the control decks, like there's a lot of steel removal, something like a Rapunzel's Tower is always going to be lurking around the corner to potentially get someone. But I don't really think that they're going to be a big problem. And of course, some of the control decks that don't go heavy into items might consider McDuck Manor as a win condition. But I don't particularly see the locations as a problem or the most powerful cards in the format right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we're still going to see these like DKP characters always playing their McDuck Manors no matter what. I think a card like Hidden Cove is, from my very brief understanding of the Infinity format, is kind of not being played a ton. I think people are opting to play cards like this new Snow Fort instead, just because it is immune to cards like the Rush Maui out of the decks that are playing Sisu, which is one of the reasons why you're playing this effect, to like grow your character's strength outside of the range of cards like Sisu and Under the Sea and whatnot. And then it still gives you the point of resist. So when you're fighting these kind of evasive battles with other Diablo decks or with some of the purple decks, it gives you protection in that sense. And yeah, I think the library is going to be one of those cards that it was kind of not really seeing a ton of play towards the end of the core constructed format, and I think we'd kind of need a shift in sort of the decks that people are imagining are going to be good in Infinity, like these really efficient steel decks, like Steel Song and Green Steel, and more of a shift towards some of the control decks that are playing B Prep, which are really not super commonly associated with like what people think is going to be really powerful in the Infinity format right now.
Okay. Nice. Right on. Ed, any thoughts? I know you're a library guy. I know you're a Queen's Castle guy. I know you're a location stand.
Yeah, those days are over. Those days are over, man.
They're done.
Like, yeah, I mean, the game got way faster, way more degenerate since the days of Library and Queen's Castle. But like you guys said, I think McDuck Manor maybe is still playable. I mean, being able to do like, the Shark thing, I think Shark maybe still playable. I'm not really sure, to be honest. I think it highly depends on like where the meta ends up going. But I can still see how, like, if the meta's too fast, then Shark is just too slow, right? It's 6 cost, potentially do nothing kind of card. So, and I think historically that deck also had a lot of problems with like discard because they don't. Well, I guess they never really even played Hiram, but they played like the Tamatoa carpet bag thing, right? So maybe if they do the carpet bag thing, maybe it's okay. But I think in general, yeah, probably locations are not that strong right now.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, real quick, I want JDZ to look through all of these answers, and the one that speaks to him the most, the one
Oh,
that
that's too much pressure, dude.
he reads, and then he's like, "Oh, yeah, no, I feel that. I would definitely be missing that." That's the one that we're gonna go with.
How about this? Read it out, because I'm not reading the chat. You can read it out, and then I'll pick one that I think is cool.
All right,
we'll go back to the top. We'll do it as Rob. You want to go first though, or you want to do this? Do this first.
Yeah, let's do the question. Let's do the question, and then he'll give us another one.
All right. So we got bananas.
We got a very scientific way to do these giveaways. You can see we're true professionals.
I love it. All right, so we got bananas, candy, Uncrustables, McDonald's meal, Huntrix. I don't know what that is. A Huntrix McDonald's meal. Let's get it.
No, that's like the new K-pop Demon Hunters.
Ed loves K-pop. Oh, they're pandering.
It just literally came out today. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
it's like they have a breakfast thing where it's like the Saja Boys breakfast McMuffin with like.
Are you a big K-pop Demon Hunter fan
or something? Huh?
Are you a big K-pop Demon Hunter fan?
When I'm like doom scrolling kind of thing, it's like one of the like promoted items right now, and they have like the Huntrix like 10-piece chicken McNuggets with a ramyeon, shaker fries.
What is happening?
Sauce, and Hunter sauce with a Derby McFlurry, bro. You gotta. Yeah, check it. You gotta lock.
All right, so are you picking? I think that one has to win then.
Yeah, it won.
Huntrix, whoever said the Huntrix thing, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, they can
so
have it all. They can
all right,
have it all.
so Grok Disco. I mean, we're going to just stop there. I think they just kind of win. There's a lot more in here, though. There's a lot more.
Yes.
Yeah,
All
Thank
right.
you guys all for the responses, guys. We will have another giveaway in a second. This is for a Wilds Unknown booster box.
All right.
Go for yet another Wilds Unknown booster box. What is the thing that I'm looking forward to the most in going to Brazil? Just
Oh,
random guesses. It will be a good one.
What
Yeah.
is what is Rob specifically looking forward the most?
Exactly. Like for me, it's been years since I've actually gone on a proper holiday. I tend to always like combine it with some kind of sort of tournaments. While I am doing that yet again in Brazil, of course, it is one of the trips I've been looking forward to the most recently. For me, I don't know. I haven't really been playing Lorcana much. For me, these things always have a bit of an up and down. And after the amazing dubs in Richmond, I've been on a bit of a down. But looking forward to Brazil, I'm definitely on my way back up. So I'll be playing at least 4 to 6 set champs the next coming weeks before flying to Brazil. And I'll be doing a lot of testing before then. I'm actually hosting a small set championship of my own next Sunday.
Oh, really?
So that's always fun. Yeah. Got the green light from Ravensburg. Let's go.
let's go. Well, let's go,
Um,
man.
So reading the chats, I don't
I'm
think
look-
anyone's actually guessed it yet.
Oh man, there's some great answers in there. Okay, I'm not gonna
There are
pick.
definitely some great answers, so we can pick a winner here.
No. I'll let you
No
pick.
one picked the Churrascaria. The Churrascaria. Bro,
Okay, someone's gonna have to explain to me what Pau de Kio or something is.
Pão de
Pão-
queijo.
Pau de queijo. Is that how you say that?
It's pão de
Pau
queijo.
Pau de queijo. Pau de queijo.
Oh, so that's
Yeah, perfect,
something with
yeah.
cheese, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
The
like
way
a
you're
cheese
pronouncing
bread.
it is cheese. Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
it's
Is that
like
is that the honey cheese?
not
Oh,
honey.
honey
It's,
cheese is
that's
hilarious.
dude, I forgot the name. But that one is insane. Where they go into that's like at the beaches or whatever, but the punch queijo is more at like restaurants and whatever. I actually need to Google what the kind of cheese. That one, it's like on a stick and it's like a white rectangle is the one you're talking about, right?
Mm.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't know the
Bro,
name.
but the cheese is crazy, bro.
Dude, that
We're gonna
cheese
go
is
So
so
low
good to
key-
chow in Brazil, right? That's like
Maybe there actually
Wow.
wasn't
Oh, good
something
to
I was looking forward to the most, but I'm just trying to find what I should be looking forward to the most. Actually, a good tactic on my end.
Bro, the chat got me dying, dude. I'm so
definitely
sorry.
the Fogo de
Dude.
Chao, bro.
yeah.
Yeah, bro,
It's-
you were at the Fogo de Chao, right? When we were at the World Fogo de Chao.
Oh my god. man.
Yeah,
Dude,
Ed, you won the booster box, bro.
this chat is no, I did not win the booster box. Heck no.
Ed won the booster box, bro.
No.
That was definitely what I had in mind.
100%.
Dude,
you
you gotta pick Rob because the chat is going left.
yeah, this chat is
I
wild right
already
now.
picked. It's definitely it's Ed who won. No, I'll pick an actual winner. I think the first person to say the cheese sandwich sounds actually good because like I'm Dutch, I like cheese. It's fine. I think.
So I'll
Correct me
draw.
if I'm wrong,
All right, let's see.
but I think
It was. Let's see.
XVVT
XVVT.
or does yeah.
Come on down, XVVT. You are the winner of the second giveaway. All right, so make sure you're reaching out to the Discord, and we can set up that giveaway for you. And it's going to be a nice earned prize. This is for Wilds Unknown as well. So I want to thank you guys all for playing. It was a great experience. But gentlemen, every Tuesday we're going to try to make sure we come back with another episode of the Procast, and then we're going to do a faster turnaround on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube in the future, if you want to be a part of the live audience, please make sure you get into the description and join the Metafy if that's something that you're interested in doing. Or, you know what I'm saying, support the World Class team. Make sure you follow the Twitter and all the social medias, as there's going to be a big push to do more social things and get the names out there with some of the greatest players in the game of Disney Lorcana. But gentlemen, do you guys have anything else that you want to say before we start to wrap this show up and sign it on off for this week?
Yeah, just big thank you to everybody who's here live. Big thank you to everybody who's watching on YouTube later. Again, as JDZ said, if you want to watch live, you can join the WCC Metafy and come support us there. A lot of funny discussion happening in the chat today. So if you want to be a part of that, make sure to check that out. And JDZ, special question for you before we wrap up from the chat. Will you be at the Enchanted Evening for
I believe
DLC
so.
Indianapolis?
I believe
Okay.
so. I should be there for the Enchanted Evening. I should be there for the CCQ as well. I believe they're going to be happening around the same time, if I recall correctly. I might be mistaken. If not, I think I'll make it wherever I am called. I will be there. So hopefully I'll see you all there as well.
Perfect. And tickets for the Enchanted Evening should be going on sale next Monday, so we will have a link in the description to that. If you guys want to check that out, it's basically just like a party before the DLC with all of the WCC players. A lot of cool events happening. We did one before DLC Milwaukee, and the reception was really great. People really seemed to enjoy it, so we're bringing it back, and you can get your tickets for that on Monday. We're going to try to change the formatting of these podcasts a little bit, so you guys will be seeing JDC, myself, and 2 other WCC pros every single week. And so, yeah, we'll just take your guys' feedback. We really want to make something that you guys enjoy. As far as for the people in the WCC Discord, we're going to be asking you guys before the podcasts get recorded, so kind of the things you guys want to see, what kind of topics you want us to talk about, and maybe some deck lists that you guys are playing throughout the weeks that we can talk about throughout the episodes. But yeah, other than that, I think we're good to go.
Right on. We are good to go. Well, my fellow Illumineers, as always, it's been a great episode. Make sure you go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, I'm JDZ. I'm on the quest, World Class Cards. Peace!